everyone.
We're
Welcome.
back.
Woohoo.
Tarot for today.
Divine Dabblings with
Oberon.
and Banshee. Welcome to our show today.
Thank you for coming. We're a little bit later than normal. Our normal broadcast on Sundays is from 2 to 4 p.m. But due to other engagements, we are here now from 7 until 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Why, you took the words right out of my mouth, sort of. Similar words were going to have been spoken. So yes, we're coming a little bit later than normal today, and so we're going to mix it up a little today. We noticed lately that we've been getting a lot of questions about relationships in our live streams. So we are going to spend a lot of time talking about love readings today, different kinds of love divination decks that I have, which I think a lot of them are out of print now, but you might still be able to get used or new from some vendors. And also just answer love questions. But we have a couple things we want to take care of first, if that's okay with everybody, I hope.
Well, the first thing we should take care of is making sure everybody knows that we have our very special cat with us.
Oh.
You can see part of him.
Yes, Sunny is here. Sunny is here. We've kind of changed our camera angles today, though, so I don't know how much of his face you're going to see because he's butting up right up against the card cam, as we call it.
If it goes bad, you might not see anything. He may actually knock over the camera. We're not sure.
Oh, dear.
Hopefully that won't
Oh,
happen.
hi, Smiling Soul, and hi, the first person who's
Malapale.
Malapale.
If
Hello,
they're still here,
welcome.
welcome.
Welcome to the live stream.
Thanks for waiting.
A couple
Hi,
of
Smiling
things.
Soul.
A couple of things that we're going to be doing first is we want to go over a couple of our tarot, our readings for tarot for tomorrow that we did in the last few days.
Right, as we usually do, we do a quick review of the last few tarots for tomorrow.
Just to recap, we do this on our Facebook page, a tarot for tomorrow, every night for the next day to get you up to snuff on, what might be happening in the day ahead. And we put it on Facebook and our Twitter page.
And we're starting with Friday, which was the Hangman reversed. And what I said about that was, and this I said this during the broadcast too, that was on Thursday night, that it really felt like someone doesn't really want to make a sacrifice that's implied normally by the Hangman. And a lot of that is because there may be things that one would want to leave behind, and you're just wrestling with that.
Well, also, I mentioned the fact that that was the day that I published my Hangman Tarot haiku, so I thought it was ironic we pulled that card. And I feel that it also meant something about sacrifice. It was also the fact that I felt, or a lack of sacrifice, and that really it was kind of a card of, personal dramas and how you plan on playing them out. I felt that the day was going to be all about me. And, out of all the cards we pulled, I do think that card was as most appropriate for me in the last 3 days. I do feel like I spent a lot of time on kind of being whiny that day. It was kind of all about me.
Well, there was some things at my workplace environment that kind of felt like that card took it in. So it's definitely was something like that too. But let's move on to Saturday's card, which we pulled late on Friday, and that was the Five of Wands, which was in an upright position. So why don't you mention what you said about that?
Well, I really thought that, it could be a little bit of jockeying for position, maybe a little bit, you had to watch out for some aggressive behavior in people, and that hopefully maybe people would channel some of that energy, of competition and jockeying for position into some more healthy pursuits like sports or exercise or maybe even video games, just to try to do something that would channel that energy more appropriately.
I said something to that extent as well, too, that people would feel they were in the mix of things going on, some vying for influence, control, prestige, things like that, that I felt that maybe there was an increased likelihood that people might be invited to a pickup game of various sorts. Maybe it's a pickup game of basketball. Maybe it's a pickup game of D&D. Who knows? I know some folks that love to play D&D. So that's what I felt was kind of going on with that. And I suppose we can move on to today's card.
Today's card, I felt it was the Five of Swords reversed, and I kind of felt it was a card of showing a little bit of empathy, maybe for people, having a heart. It's kind of the energies are kind of not getting beyond your own self and your own self needs over others, and I felt that really you needed to focus more on maybe the plight of other people a little bit more than yourself.
And I thought I had one of my most classic lines since I started doing the tarot for tomorrow. And I said, it's like a stalemate in a stalemate and pain for everyone. And that's kind of like what I immediately felt with that. So hopefully it wasn't really bad. Basically, people were not going to get the ending that they wanted, and probably nobody was. So just a sense of writing it out and hoping that you'll get over your frayed nerves and reshuck yourself for Monday, which we will give that reading later today.
Well, I also felt the empathy and compassion might be important if you were trying to settle a conflict of some sort. Being a bully or pushing your weight around was not going to get you anywhere.
Exactly. It's kind of like it was definitely a no-win proposition.
So I don't know how that may have played out for everybody else, but that's what we saw for the last few days. And like I said, on our Facebook page, we'll be posting later tonight one for tomorrow. And we'll discuss them next time on our live stream. And another thing I think we should get done first, because I know we're going to get a lot of people who are going to want readings, is that maybe we should do our reading for the week ahead for everybody.
Okay, and that's me, right?
It's your reading day
Yes.
today.
Okay, so on Sundays, I do a 3-card reading for the week. Banshee basically will help me shuffle the cards, but the reading, the spread, and the focus is pretty much mine with her chirping in her own insights there. So I'm going to shuffle the cards, and this is a 3-card reading I do that's kind of a general reading, but I've adapted it slightly, so it's really about the body, the mind, and the spirit.
And you might throw an extra card in there or so.
I occasionally will do that.
Is that the landlord again, Smiling Soul?
Okay, go ahead and shuffle, Banshee.
Oh, I sure will. Yes.
And Sonny's kind of blocking the view.
Oh, is he on the cam with his face? Not quite.
Well, he's just blocking the view. I thought maybe we could see some of the cards, but he's...
Well, don't worry. I'll show the cards as we draw them.
Okay, let me know when you're doing that. Well, that'll be...
Well, I'm going to cut them for you, right?
Yes.
So, okay. Almost there.
And Smiling Soul says hello to Sonny, our
Sonny.
sun man. I cut.
Oh, I
Well,
thought
you
I
cut.
cut.
And then, I'm sorry.
That's right. So I'll bring them closer to you. My apologies. We're getting used to this new camera position. It's little
probably
tricky.
not going to last.
Yeah, no.
I don't think it's working out the way I thought it might. So.
Possibly no.
So.
Oh, Sonny's got his face in there, sort of, but his ears.
The first card for body is the reversed 5 of Wands. Boy, this card comes up a lot.
The reversed 5 of Wands. Well, that's actually better for body, mind, and spirit, though, now that it's reversed, because it's kind of saying that stresses are going to ease a little bit. Maybe some of the tensions are going to dissipate that have been in the air. And so, obviously, that has effect on you physically, mentally, and spiritually. Maybe we're getting cut a little slack this week. What do you say?
Well, I'm going to say that maybe it's a rest after kind of a little bit of energy displayed. And I realize that that card is more appropriately maybe the 8 of Wands. But these young fellows seem to be really mixing it up with their wands. And I'm going to say that maybe the reverse position of that suggests that you need a timeout. You're not really as interested in being in the mix of things as I kind of referred to this card previously. So let's move on from there.
Sure.
We're taking a rest this week, maybe from overly competitive activities. And we're going to go to our second card, which is the mind. This is kind of interesting because it is the Page of Pentacles reversed. Which does have some stuff to go on there with the mental ideas. Did you want to take it for a moment?
Yeah, absolutely. Basically, I think that, for those of us who may be in school right now or studying, this is telling me it's kind of going to be a little bit of a disorienting week for you. Maybe you're not going to be focused on your work or your studies. And as a matter of fact, be careful on the job too. Another possibility is, since this is the mental, right? This is the
Yes,
mental.
right.
That's why I'm leaning more towards studies and learning with this card. I mean, it could also be financial concerns as well, but I'm getting the feeling also that you may get some news related to some particular course of study that you were planning on taking, and it may not be all that good of news.
Well, the pentacles, I mean, the pages are usually about messages. Some are more specific than others. And I do feel that too, that the message here really may be that it is time to kind of also take a break maybe from some mental activities. That it's time to maybe just slack off a little bit. It may be just the beginning of the school season for some. So maybe you have that chance to not really fully engage at this point and just kind of take the measure. So I'm sort of seeing that too, that what we're seeing with body and mind is a sense of maybe wanting to just be a little bit looser, a little bit freer with that. So we're going to move on to our third card. And of course, this card is about spirit. Ooh.
Oh my.
And I'm going to let that cam display. There it is. And it's the reversed Ten of Swords. That may actually be better when you think about it.
Well, it's like I've always said, if I have to get the Ten of Swords, I really want to see it reversed. I don't want to see it upright, because it is a card that's a little bit more of a healing influence going on here. Obviously you are recovering from some real blow spiritually, and it's going to take some time.
Yeah, I sort of feel that too, that in general, there's a sense that from deep within your spirit, you do feel you've overcome some obstacles, and it may be that going along with the other cards, there's going to be a little bit of respite, and you're going to possibly take it easy a little bit. Hopefully this week we'll find everybody getting the rest, relaxation that they possibly need, thwarting or overcoming certain obstacles, which those look like they're kind of nasty in a way, but to me the idea is that they are going to be overcome, or they are within reach of being overcome.
So to recap, we had a pentacle, a sword, and a wand, right?
That is correct.
So I do think the emphasis is going to be on financial, physical matters to some degree, and maybe a little bit of
victory over some opposition.
yes, victory over some struggles. Very good. The other thing is, did you want to throw one more card on top of that, or are you happy
I
there?
can do that just because. And it's also prudent to mention that we're flying solo today. We're actually doing this production totally ourselves. But as always, we want to acknowledge the very wonderful assistance
Production
and support and
assistance.
help that we got from Mr. Monster Hunter, Mr. Malik Monster Hunter,
Who is our son.
also known as our son,
Who also made the backdrop for today,
yes,
the
our
border.
autumn one. So
Yes.
without him, we don't look as good as we look.
Yes, exactly. But he's letting us fly solo now. He's let us come this far. And now, instead of being our producer, he's going to be system support. So.
I have him on speed dial.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so Banshee said that maybe I might want to pull a fourth card, and I'm going to do that.
Yep.
And this is like kind of like
Oh.
just for extra emphasis here. So
Well,
I'm gonna let Banshee show
ironic,
that.
since that we are talking about relationships tonight.
Yes, it's a reverse.
Oh,
Two
wait a
of
minute. Oh,
Cups.
there it is. Okay. The reversed Two of Cups. And that does mean possibly some blow-ups or breakups or arguments with somebody close. It could be a friend. It could be coworkers that you're close to. It could be a relationship, let's face it. It could be family. But at any rate, it does seem like there's going to be that. And maybe the Ten of Swords healing has something to do with that a little bit. Who knows?
Well, from my sense of it, it's not super dramatic. It does represent some disharmony, some disagreements in a relationship. So it is possible, I think, that going through the various things here is going to create a little bit of friction between you and your special one, you know, you're dealing with some complicated matters and some friction and the sense of, you know, getting over some folks that were opposing you or some situations that were opposing you. So that's hopefully meaning that, you know, all will be well at some point. And I think that we should probably move on.
Absolutely. And so we do have a request, I think, for a reading here.
Now, Malapale was first within the chat room, bright and early. So we're going to do Malapale first. And Malapale, if you're there, and if you would like to tell us if you're just looking for a general reading or if you might have a more specific reading, and then we can kind of give an idea about how we want to do that reading. So we'll let you go ahead and do that. We're going to shuffle the cards anyway while I'm doing that.
Yes, and as soon as and if Smiling Soul has a reading, she can be next. And after that,
Go ahead and shuffle two.
Oh, okay. After that, I will bring up a few things if we have some free moments. I brought down a number of tools to show.
Okay. Do you care to say what sign you are, Malapale? Yes. We just had Saras join us again. Welcome back, Saras. And you'll be the third that'll be the second one after the one we're currently doing. So hang in there for us. Thank you very much. And you're a Libra. So generally, Malapale, Libras would normally get along with Geminis unless there are serious differences in the more inner parts of your chart. For example, if one of you had maybe Pluto in a particular sign on your chart, it might jar with somebody else's sign in that or planet in that chart. But in general, that's what I think is Libras kind of get along with Geminis. But we're going to see what the cards also say about
They're
that.
both air, right? Gemini and Libra are both air.
Oh, okay. So I'm just turning them?
No, I'm just asking you. Gemini and Libra are both air?
That is correct.
That's correct.
Yes.
So it's a lot of commonality.
Okay, so I am pulling the first card.
Okay, Smiling. We'll get to you.
Okay, I am pulling the first card, and if there is some sort of relationship, friendship or relationship between you, this card, the Two of Cups, shows there's a lot of harmony in that relationship. So if that's what you are actually thinking about, I see the Gemini and you as being attuned to each other, friendly, possibly willing to create another level there of your friendship. The card sort of looks like maybe they are trothing to each other, they are pledging to each other. It's mostly just an old English way of saying that they're very much in harmony. We don't necessarily do things like that in the modern age. Ooh. I see. Okay, so
well, I do feel that there was some closeness here. Obviously, people separate for a number of reasons, but there was a lot of commonality. There was a lot of things you could resonate with each other on. And you know, you got to remember too, sometimes when you have two signs that are the same element, sometimes that can be a little overwhelming for each other too in a relationship.
Right, it doesn't always mean that exactly. So you say you're in separation now, but you're waiting for this person to come back. That to me sort of indicates that you feel that that is going to happen, that there was an agreement, that maybe you were just taking time off. So I'm going to pull the next card kind of with that in mind. And I'm going to ask you a question. Did that person have to leave the relationship due to something kind of tragic in their own life? And I'm showing the card that I have, which is the Nine of Swords. And this card suggests that maybe somebody is feeling hurt or sad about somebody else that is not near necessarily. So I'm just wondering about that a little bit. Do you want to hold it there again for me?
Well, can I talk on the card
Sure.
at all? Thanks. I think that the Nine of Swords to me is also... oh, there it is. I don't know what was happening there.
I had the camera switched.
Oh, okay. It seemed like the camera angle was different, but I've got
Well,
it. What did
It's it's not exactly rocket science.
Okay, sorry about that. But the Nine of
And you did move
Swords.
the camera too, I'm afraid.
I'm afraid I did. The Nine of Swords.
Don't touch it. Just don't touch it. Where's that technical assistant? See?
Our technical
Okay,
assistant
it's not bad.
has
Just
left
leave
the
it there.
building.
But you will have to work with showing the card in front of it because it's sort of aiming
Yeah,
that way.
I see. It's a little bit different now. The Nine of Swords to me is indicative of some sorrows this person may be feeling, and I'm having to disagree a little bit with my partner here in thinking that maybe this has something to do with the relationship. That there could be some feelings here. Okay. And that I didn't see your chat till now, your response there, but I did sense that this may have something to do with what's happened in the relationship, that there is some guilt or sorrow or recriminations as to where things have been left.
So I guess the basic question, of course, is whether or not this person will be coming back, the Gemini. And I am pulling this card, which I will let the Banshee show.
If I can figure it out, let's see. There we go.
That's the reverse Justice card. And so
No, that's not. It's the reverse Judgment card.
Judgment. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I would have interpreted correctly even if I had the name wrong. The Judgment card, in my mind, when it's reversed, it sort of indicates somebody who maybe is struggling a little bit with their spirituality or struggling with the idea of some sense of awakening. And I'm going to just go out there and say that what was said may have been hurtful, but maybe you were trying to get a sense or a bead on whether you were moving to some other level. I'm not saying necessarily a spiritual level, although that is somewhat implied with the card, but that maybe awakening to some other level, a furthering level, and maybe somehow there was some misunderstood feelings.
Well, to me, the Judgment card reversed is a card of karma. I mean, Judgment in general is a card of some karma in a way. And when it's reversed, I have to question this. At least at this point, I think where things are left right now is that because of maybe things that have been done or said, perhaps this is hanging in the limbo that it is because people don't know where to proceed from here after what happened, because it was pretty implosive. Am I right in saying that? So I think that, everybody's going to have to work through their feelings and come to a resolution of where they really want to stand with things at this point in time.
You are basically asking if Gemini will come back, and I'm going to just try to give you an idea. But I do want to say that, of course, as we always say, nothing in the cards really is an absolute. It's really going to give us the best possible indication, but things can always change. So right now I'm going to ask that question. Is Gemini coming back? And I'm pulling the card. And I feel that that's possible. I have the Two of Pentacles reversed. So I'm definitely couching my terms here because this card does talk quite a bit about the sense of balancing emotionality with practicality, that there's an idea here sometimes that there's a lot to handle, and maybe both of you have so many different irons in the fire, different projects, different things. Maybe you work at cross purposes because one of you works a different shift or has obligations that creates a sense of distance. So
Which
it
card
was
is
the
that?
two,
Oh,
the
the
Two of Pentacles.
balance.
So what I'm saying is that I do feel it's possible, but it's mostly about weathering the storm that's kind of indicated there and realizing that maybe both of you have to work together on the balance issues between the stuff you do and the stuff you do together. You don't need that?
No, I don't need that.
Okay.
But I will say I have to agree with Oberon on this one. It's about weathering the storm and achieving that balance and and trust, a mutual trust within each other again. If that can be achieved, then I think it will be fine. However, I did draw some Lenormand, and I think that this is somewhat interesting. Can you hold it up to that
Okay, sure.
camera? It's the park or the garden, and it's the coffin. Now, I want you to get discouraged there on that. The coffin often means endings, but it's in relation to where it's at. If there are other people involved in some way in this argument, you have to get the outside forces or the outside people have to kind of be removed from this situation in order for you to achieve success. And what I'm thinking here is oftentimes that card could indicate social gatherings and activities and things of that nature, maybe where people gossip and stuff like that and talk about things. People who are chattering about you and your relationship, maybe that could be interfering with you guys coming back together.
Now, I don't understand the Lenormand, but I do understand symbols or how they speak to me.
Sure.
And I'm going to say that the garden to me represents the idea of some sort of respite from the world, moving to a more enchanted place, a place where you feel you're more in tune with nature or with gentleness of some sort. And I think, though, that it comes after, even though Banshee may have drawn them differently, I think it comes after a sense of rest. That you'll need to kind of chill out, take some time to rest, and that you will be able to regentle yourself and or the concerns with the Gemini person. But I think it's going to take some time. I don't think
I
it's going
don't
to
think
be
this is
very
going to
immediate.
happen immediately either, just by the looks and nature of some of the cards.
Yeah, I'm
And
going to say maybe towards the end of the year, as the holiday season approaches, things may start to reawaken.
you can always come back and
Yes.
ask a question again at one of our next live streams. By all means, feel free to subscribe. And I don't know why I'm grabbing your cards. I'm sorry. Whoopsie. Who was next? I believe
What do you
it
mean when you
was.
some time? We try to make time on any of our shows to do some readings for people. You can also just drop us a general question if you're on Facebook. In the Facebook box, we have a box inbox there, and that's TFT Tarot for Today off of Facebook. We also have a Gmail. You can ask us questions in there too. TFT Tarot for Today at
For
Gmail.
today with the four
And it's
when
with
you
the four.
do.
Tarot
Yeah.
4, number 4 today. I forget that.
Yeah, I know. That was the only way they'd let me do it. So I had to.
Ah, uh, I think the time is going to be a couple of months at least. I think that for sure by maybe in the beginning of the year things will start to smooth along, but I think it'll probably take moving into the holiday season maybe where spirits will start to naturally lighten up a little bit. So I'm hoping you'll be patient for that, or that maybe it will happen. Oh, you've been waiting a long time. Um, do you?
Has this what was the last card you drew? Was it the Two of Cups?
Yeah. No, it's the
Because
Two of Pentacles
oh, that's
reversed.
right. It was the Two of Pentacles reversed. So I'm getting the feeling that it could be as far as 2 years because it
A
was
two.
reversed. I didn't
Yeah.
want to go that high. And so I'll tell you what, you should check with us again and let's see what's going on at some future point. But it's definitely not going to happen immediately.
Yeah, especially since you've now mentioned that it's been a while. So,
Yeah,
well, we do hope it can improve for you.
absolutely.
Thank you.
And we can't control what other people are thinking or doing or feeling. We can only control ourselves in the end. And
I
we
don't think we mean 2 years from now. I think we mean that it's been a year. It could be up to another year. Isn't that what we mean?
I didn't mean that, but if you
Okay.
want to go there, I did mean 2 years, and it's only because of the reversal of the card that I went with the longer distance.
And Smiling Soul says Geminis usually keep grudges for a long time.
Hmm.
And I always thought that my sign, Scorpios, are more likely to keep grudges a long time. But who knew? Who
Well,
knew?
you know what? I would just say hang in there, and just because of what we told you, don't feel like you can't go out there and make some overtures to this person.
I agree with that. And here's the other thing, too, and I sort of know this from my personal relationships with Libra type persons. Libras, they are the only sign that is not represented by something that's alive, like there's lions or scorpions or crabs. But Libra is a scale of balance. It's a scale. It's a metal object. And what that suggests to me is that to some degree, Libras have a harder time coming across in terms of accepting or understanding their own emotionality and how they enact with humans, that sometimes there may be a little bit of an aloofness. So you may have to try a little bit harder to communicate if you've been just holding back, waiting for the Gemini. You might have to take a few
You
more
mean-
positive steps.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Gemini is the person that
That's
they're
true.
waiting for.
All right. Well, we should move on because we have people waiting.
Right, we do have people waiting. So join us again, Malapale. We're going to move on now because Smiling Soul has been patiently waiting and is our next reading.
And she wanted a general
A general
reading.
question, she said. Or next
Well.
question. I'm going to go back so I can see that. Just want a general. Okay, general reading. Do you want to flip the cards or shall I? We'll do them both.
Go ahead.
Alrighty. So here we go, Smiling Soul.
I'm just looking at some of my 3-card spreads.
And I'm going to see if we can get another view of Sunny here. Nope, just his legs.
That's
He's got
okay.
great legs, though, if you like legs.
Why don't we do Smiling Soul's life at present
You're welcome.
and things that she should focus on and where things are headed. So this is like a picture of you right now, things that you should be focusing on and where things are headed, if that's okay with you, Smiling Soul.
Okay, go ahead and shuffle.
And don't be discouraged, Malapi. Relationships. We'll be talking about that shortly as I bring out my tools. Relationships are some of the toughest things, and it doesn't matter if you're in love relationships. Our interpersonal relationships at work can be very complicated as well and cause people a lot of stress and grief, or they can be really fantastic. If you run into great mentors and people that you can talk to and people that you can support you through difficult times at work. But, it's not always the case. We run into obstacles and walls with people, and we have to figure out ways to get around them.
Go ahead and do the cut.
Oh, you want me to do the cut? Can I pick them up too since I'm right here?
Sure.
And Sun Man is in the way. Do you want me to go this way?
Yeah.
All right, I will.
Let's see.
Okay. So this is where she is at present.
Okay, the present. And it's the Wheel of Fortune.
Hey, Smiling Soul. You have the Wheel of Fortune. Awesome for you. That's a very positive omen. That's a card of luck and good fortune and, some good karma catching up with you and
You're
positive
riding
things.
the top of the cycle. Mostly there's an aura of good luck around you that most of your decisions or steps will be fruitful or will not have unforeseen side effects or consequences.
So right now, if there's something that you want to take a chance on, hey, I'm not saying like gamble your life away, and I'm not necessarily saying gambling, but if there's some risk or chance you want to take with something in your life, this might be the time to do it. Okay, and then the next card is things that you should be focusing on right now. Oh.
The Knight of Wands.
Wow, that's coming or going possibly of somebody into your life
You
or
wanna show it in
leaving
that
your life.
camera for a moment?
Sure. If I can get, yep, there it is, the Knight of Wands. And the Knight of Wands is somebody who is very creative, inspirational, somebody with a lot of enthusiasm and energy, just ready to go, very positive influence. This could also mean the coming or going of a matter connected with a business venture of some sort or some creative enterprise as well.
It could also literally mean some sort of young man coming into your life, not necessarily romantically. It could be somebody who's a friend and also an associate of sorts or a possibility of becoming an associate. This card talks a little bit about somebody who may be exuding qualities of trustworthiness, but also they're moving forward to challenge things. They may be challenging for you on your side, but they may be also just bringing challenges to you in some sort of form by the other energies or situations that they're bringing.
So far, so good. And now the third card is where things are headed. Well,
The Emperor, this is a very good prognosis here. Do you want to show it in the other one?
sure. There it is. Well, what can you say other than you rule, smiling soul?
The Emperor's mastery.
It's mastery, control, and also
Wisdom.
it can be the card of leadership in some
Leadership.
way. So it shows too that and of course as a leader, you need to lead with humility and still show strength. It's never easy being a leader.
The card has strong qualities for both Aries and Scorpio's persons, but it can apply to any sign.
Sure, right.
I think it's a good card. I think it shows it's sort of the sense of, gaining a foothold in a project or gaining completion, mastery of a project.
I think basically what it's saying is you are in control. So if you're like involved, like with that Knight of Wands that we just showed, in some kind of creative pursuit or enterprise right now, things should go exceedingly well for you. Things are very well in hand, and this is with the Wheel of Fortune too, a very opportunistic time for you. So look for opportunities maybe to appear out of nowhere.
These cards are strongly powerful for you and represent some interesting energies or forces moving into your life.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
All right.
And that's what we see for you.
Now, somebody else was hanging around in the room. I don't know if they're still here or not.
Oh, they are, I think.
SARS?
Yes, Saris. Are you still with us?
The message was retracted, so I don't know if they left or not. We're down. We don't have as many watchers as we had.
Okay. Well, we'll see.
Okay. 2 men.
Oh, interesting. It could be. The Emperor, even though it is a masculine card, I don't always look at it that way because, women now have those kind of, very strong leadership qualities. I think of it more in terms of not so much a male card, but yes, there is that more masculine kind of energy there if we want to look at it that way.
Well, like I said that the Knight of Wands was something that was coming into your life, and I said it wasn't necessarily a relationship, but it isn't necessarily not a relationship.
Right.
That's the thing about them, is that they all have that potential to be a person coming into your life that could bring a relationship. It's more clear perhaps when it's the cup, the Knight of Cups, for example, because that does talk about relationships.
Mm-hmm.
But the Knight of Wands would be my second guess for the possible indication of a relationship, or at least a person that you would become friendly with or more friendly with.
Mm-hmm.
The Emperor, of course, is a man, or at least represented that way, but I think a lot of times that card has more to do with those qualities being within oneself, and therefore they translate to whatever your gender is or however you see that. It's not necessarily ruling out that some definitive boss type person is there. What was the position about? The final result?
Which one was that? The
The
last
Emperor?
card? The Emperor was the, right, where things are headed.
Right. So it could be saying that maybe there is this kind of person coming into your life if you work in a kind of business where maybe occasionally a new boss comes in and takes over. I've had
Well, it's interesting you say
5
that.
bosses in the last 10 years.
Because if it does indicate a person coming into your life, it could indicate somebody who is a leader of some sort, maybe somebody who is a corporate executive, you know what I mean, just an executive in some sort of business. That's what I see with the Emperor card, that they control something, like they may be even in business for themselves.
a thought occurs to me that maybe the person, the Knight of Wands coming into your life, ends up being that Emperor, that a person who seems to be young and maybe moving upward is actually the person that ends up having some sort of supervisory or boss type position. And this is not to necessarily say that it's not necessarily yourself or somebody that you would more favor with that too. It could actually be yourself too. It's hard to say. I mean, I'm not getting a real drop dead psychic thing about that. I'm just sort of feeling intuitively that there is some sort of boss energy coming with that.
Well, and since you asked, I personally feel the Emperor card may be more about you than another person. But you're right, since the Knight of Wands appeared, if we were to put those two together, that's kind of how I would look at it. It might be somebody who's a leader in some creative enterprise, I would think, of some sort.
Okay, hi Claudie. Glad you joined us again.
Claudie D, welcome.
We're gonna ask one more time if
We have
Cyrus
one-
is here.
We have
Cyrus
one person in front of you,
was
Claudie
hanging
D.
out. They may have left. I'm not sure. It looks like we have a few people in.
We have, I'll tell you what, just give us a few moments to see if Cyrus comes back, and I'm just going to interject something while we're waiting. And so what I wanted to show is just a few things that I have as far as relationship readings go in the tarot. I'm going to just show you a couple of book covers and just let you know that these are some things that are out there. And I'm sure that, like, if you read cards for yourself, you might be able to find similar things out on the market. This is something I got by Phyllis Vega, who is also the author of another book of tarot spreads that I've gotten called Power Tarot. And she wrote this for Fireside Press years ago. I'm going to hold it up here. And it's called Romancing the Tarot. And not only does it have, different spreads that are related to relationship readings in this book, but it also has like interpretations for all of the cards. And each card has, like, the major arcana. Here's some of the things that are covered in her interpretations: expectations, emotional potential, sexual potential, material potential, spiritual potential, challenges, outcome, and keywords and phrases. A lot of things are covered besides just the romantic elements of the cards, but she has a lot of spreads in here related to romantic questions that are really quite nice and good. Another one that I only have a few of these, so I'm going to go quickly through them. This one is, oops, I'm going to just show that there. It's called The Tarot Guide to Love and Relationships by Nancy Shavik. And Nancy Shavik wrote a few other tarot books that were really quite good, but this one is basically all about love and relationships, and there are various spreads in here, and a lot of them are really quite involved. So they're more for really exploring your relationships and how you respond in relationships, things of that nature.
Time for another one?
I do have.
And it looks like Sarah's may not be in our chat room, so we'll move on to Claudie in just a moment.
In just a moment. I have two more books to show real quickly. Right. And this one is called
The Lover's Tarot.
The Lover's Tarot, which is by Robert Mueller and...
Robert Mueller? Now, where have I heard that name before?
Not the Robert Mueller who was in the...
I'd like to ask him if
the
he
Russia
reads the tarot cards about other things.
How would you say that name? Sign? S-I-G-N-E? E. Eccles? Well, at any rate, the authors are there were three authors with Sandra A. Thompson, and it sounds like they might be PhDs. They wrote this book just as a little bit older, 1993, but this thing is chock full of spreads and exercises for you to get in touch with yourself and how to deal with how to be in relationships and to find out how who you are in relationships. Basically, there's all kinds of little spreadsheets and stuff in here and things that you can fill out about yourself. So
Go ahead.
It's a really cool book.
Oh.
But I want to move on because I have one more that's a little bit more recent. I think this is from the year, dating myself here, I'm afraid. but this one's from the year 2005. And this one is Taking the Tarot to Heart by Mark McElroy. And it's a Llewellyn publication. And this book is all about relationships. And he says, why leave love to chance? Enhance your romance. And look through this book. And he's got all kinds of spreads in here, as well as exercises and ways that you can really look at how you respond in romantic situations. He's also got descriptions of the cards as well. This is another very good resource. So,
Hey, I have an idea, Banshee.
yes.
Why don't you post those later on
I
the
will.
Facebook page and then also on the Twitter page?
Well,
and then they'll be there for people to look up. They'll have the actual names.
I will
and-
definitely do that. And I did post a picture earlier just showing all the stuff I had, including these books. So that's just a little window. You know, I've been collecting things for some time and I was shocked. I actually had so many relationship materials, actually. I didn't realize I did. Because after a while, you know, I've been in a relationship so long myself, I've started to lose interest in it. But it's always good to have these tools on hand because we're always asked relationship questions.
Well, definitely since we started the live stream here, but it seemed to me like over the many years that we've been reading cards, we kind of went through a lot of that, and then maybe in more recent years, you know, not as much, maybe because most of the people we were reading for
That's
were
true.
more like ourselves, already having been in long time relationships, so their concerns and questions were more about, you know, other matters or things. So it's a whole new world again for us, dealing with folks who have a variety of questions, including the romance questions. And I guess we've put
We're
it
ready.
off long enough, so we're ready for Claudie.
Yeah.
If Claudie has the question about a decision, go ahead and shoot. And we are ready for that question.
You have a decision to make. All right. I'm going to pull up my 3 carders.
Should I move now or in the spring? Oh, really? Does it happen to be a very long move? You're moving between cities, right? Are they extremely far from each other, that kind of thing?
Well, it's a decision spread. So let's make option 1 moving now. And then card 2 will be moving later.
Okay.
And then the overall, you know, outlook for the move.
So you're just moving, period, not necessarily very far, but it's moving out of one location clearly into another. So it does present its own set of issues. Here you go, Bansh. Okay, so Banshee has that reading for that. It's a decision spread reading. So we're going to get to that in just a moment.
Actually, I'm going to change this a little bit. The first card is going to be the focus and, you know, what's behind this decision that has to be made. That'll be the first card. And then option 1 will be moving now, and option 2 will be moving later. And if we need to draw a 4th card for more clarity, we'll do so. Do you want to cut them this time? I think I cut
Okay,
them last
yep.
time, so. Take them from the middle. And there. Yep. Okay. The first card is basically the focus or just what's behind this right now. Do you feel, Claudie D, maybe...
Go ahead and show it.
I'm sorry.
You
Oh,
can show it.
I'm sorry. It is the Magician reversed. That's the first card I've drawn. So I have to ask you right off the bat, do you feel a little unprepared for this move right now? Like you're not quite ready for it? Or that, you know, and that's why maybe waiting longer would be a good thing?
I also feel too that maybe there's something that is stifling a little bit, like you sort of feel like there's an impetus to move because maybe you feel like you're sort of stagnating, but you don't feel like you're really ready to, but you can tell how there's a drain on some of your creative things or your sense of being in charge.
Right, maybe being here, you know, let's say you're done with it and you want to move, but it's just either there are still some loose ends to finish, or there's still some preparations that need to be made to make sure this move is going to be successful. Card number 2 is moving now. What would happen if you moved now? Well,
Show it.
it is the Eight of Swords reversed. And the Eight of Swords reversed is kind of telling me that if you moved now, it would be okay, but there's again this idea that there were some things that you should have maybe looked into first or taken care of first, that maybe this move is happening without really thinking things through enough.
Explain the position for me again.
That is, what if she moved now?
Well, it seems to me like it would be a movement that you could do, but you might be moving from a position of some sense of duress or some sense of not being totally comfortable with it. Like you feel like you need to move because you're trying to avoid something else. You're trying to
Or make a
avoid
change.
or avoid a sense of ill feeling about where you're coming from, but like you sort of feel like your pressure to move, I think is the more salient point to me there. So that's what would happen, is that you would possibly feel there would be a regret because you moved quicker than you may have thought eventually you should have.
Sometimes this card, yeah, this card definitely makes me feel that a move would be good for you now on some levels, but it seems like it's, even looking at this card, I'm still thinking it's not quite the right moment. It might be too hasty to make that move at this time.
Kind
In
of what
other
I'm
words, it's almost as if the move is in reaction to something.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next position?
And the final one is, what if you moved in the spring? Well, okay, I have, you're gonna,
Go ahead.
I have the Ace of Cups reversed. And the Ace of Cups reversed is, the move in the spring would happen, but are you going to feel good about where you're going? Are you going to feel like maybe you'll be feeling like you're leaving? On one level, I can see it almost as if you're feeling like you're leaving some sorrows behind.
And it's a sense of comfort too.
Yeah, and that you're looking for a more comforting, yes, more comforting feel from this move.
And you may feel that maybe you didn't accomplish that, or that gratification is going to be a little bit slower in coming through. Like it might take you a while to get settled and feel like you really, feel confident you really did make the right move. It may very well be that you did, but this is going to be initially how you're going to feel about it.
Yeah, I kind of feel like you're gonna, it's gonna take a little bit out of you even in the spring to make this move. And that, you might feel a little empty after the move. So I caution you again to make sure you have just, done everything you need to do before you make this move. Whether it's leaving friends behind, relationships behind, or family. Just make sure that what you're doing is, not leaving something undone.
Very cool. We hope that was able to give you a little bit of help. Feel free to come back and ask again.
I am going to draw a couple of Lenormand cards.
Yes, of course. We usually add a Lenormand to that.
Definitely. And I'm going to actually do this so that the first card is going to be the move now, and the second card is going to be the move later. Usually I draw them in pairs, and I will see how they kind of go together anyway. So let me see what I get here.
And I got the camera waiting for you.
Wow. Well, this is going to be very interesting reading for
First
you here.
one is
The House. Isn't that interesting?
But the position is if you move now.
If you move now. Well, we'll get to that. And the next one is Decision.
Ooh.
It is really interesting, yes, because I did say one would be for now and one would be for later, but I almost feel like they go together as a pair. They're like a team.
Sing it.
Well, because the house and the decision, you are making definite decisions about a move, and it seems like you might have had an option to move more than one location. Are you torn between? Are you have you decided actually where you want to move, or are you torn between locations, Claudie D?
Yeah, it could be something like that too, that there's a sense of more than, and that could also add to the other parts of the reading too, that there's a sense of more than one choice to make, perhaps.
Well, there's definitely a choice here, and I almost think that if I did read them, you're torn between people. Okay. Well, I would say here that I would say here that spring is probably the appropriate decision. Like if I looked at the four as being home or like your home base now, whether this is a move from people, like you said, or if this is an actual physical move, um, right now it seems like you're staying where you are. In the spring, you're making the decision to move. And so, therefore, I think the time to make the decision is in the spring. I think this kind of solidifies that in my mind.
I'm going to go along with that because I don't know the cards well enough at all, but I do get that symbolically. Well, it's
Okay.
always good to have choices.
Yep.
So we hope that does help you. At this time, we're closing down this hour, but we have a few more minutes. If there's
Oh,
anybody in our chat
I think
room,
Smiling Soul has a message for you there.
yes, I did, and that was really cool. It's kind of interesting about that Smiling Soul because I've noticed that some of the third-party producers of Barbie or similar fashion dolls are all Asian
You're
American, or
welcome,
sometimes from
Claudia D.
Asia. You're welcome, Claudie D. Come back again sometime. Um, so that was real interesting about that. I'm not sure what that is. I know that another fellow, I can't think of his name, not Joe Ty. He's another fellow who does doll design outfits. He ended up designing Michelle Obama's inaugural gown in 2008. And I can't think of his name, but he now works for a company called Fashion Royalty and designs a lot of doll dresses for
Huh.
that too. And we have somebody else in the chat room.
Oh,
Is
hi,
Michael
Liberty.
thinking of you? Okay. Liberty Bowie has joined us, and we're going to find out if Michael is thinking of you.
Well, oh, go ahead. Did you want to use your cards? That's fine.
We've been using them most
Yep.
of the night so far. So thank you for joining us.
Yes, thanks for joining us, Liberty.
Thank you
Uh,
for your question and for asking about that. I still have to figure out a way, Smiling Soul, how to get the pictures I mentioned over to you somehow.
I wanted to mention, now that we're getting these
It's not
questions.
Joe Tai that designed the dress. It's another Asian guy, and I can't come up with his name at the moment. I'll have to see if I can Google that maybe if we take a small break somehow. But he works for Fashion Royalty, and yeah, it was really exciting. And I was bummed because I was thinking like, oh, so you designed the real live dress for Michelle, but I want a Barbie dress that I can put on my Michelle Obama uh, surrogate doll, which I don't have.
So, as I was going to say about readings,
Back to Liberty Bowie.
well, actually, I was going
Michael.
to say we get a lot of questions often from the people following us and watching the live stream that want to know what other people are thinking all the time, and that's
for
a
that
big
tip.
deal. We always do want to know what's on somebody else's mind, but oftentimes when you're asking relationship questions,
Do you want to shuffle these?
you
two?
should focus more on yourself. I'm just saying. Because we can't always control what is going on with the other person, but we can look at ourselves and why maybe we're interested in that other person and where it could lead from there. Yes.
Jason Wu, W-U, is the designer of Michelle Obama's inaugural gown in 2008. Prior to that, he had been designing dresses. I think he still does design dresses for fashion dolls that are Barbie sized approximately, but it's Jason Wu. And okay, we'll look for that tip on opening up our Twitter so we can send pictures too.
Yeah,
But let's
okay,
get
we
back to
will do
Liberty
that.
Bowie. Go ahead and cut them for me.
I'm going to when I'm done shuffling. You're a little bit ahead of me, Mr. O.
Well, I want to keep focused on our readings.
I thought you were focused on dolls.
I've mentioned Liberty Bowie.
I'm teasing you.
Okay.
Teasing, teasing.
You ask it as a yes or no, so I guess we're going to turn it as a yes or no.
This is going to take a moment. Liberty, basically, our yes-no questions, he draws up to 13 cards looking for aces in 3 piles, and depending on what he gets, we'll have a yes-no answer for you, and possibly some further information. And also, I'm going to pull some Lenormand to see if I get an idea while he's doing that. Oh, there you are. You went past it. You went past an ace.
I did. Whoops.
Yeah.
So sorry. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Well, I don't know if I can guarantee the exact thoughts, but it does look like it's more likely than not that Michael is thinking of you. It was Michael, right? Yes, Michael. Because I see Michelle's name there, which we put in. But anyways, I do feel with the Hermit reversed that may mean what those thoughts could possibly be. It sounds to me possibly that they're in an abstract state of mind with you, that maybe they sort of feel there were things they were giving to you, but they were more abstract things, like they were just giving you knowledge or information or insights that they had, maybe. And now they're not exactly doing that. It seems to me like maybe they've become more of a hermit, the way the card is upright as a hermit. When it's reversed, the way I see it, it could mean that they're, well, how do you want to interpret that?
Well, I think the hermit basically reversed to saying that he may not have a real appropriate frame of reference about you. That's the best way I would think about it. Is maybe he's thinking about you, but maybe not in the sense that you might want him to be thinking about you.
Well, the other, just to help me with a little bit of clarification, is Michael somebody you've known a long time? Would be a question. Was there something more between you and now there isn't? Is there an actual question behind the question of sorts? I sort of could read between the lines and say that there was possibly some relationship here, but maybe one of the things that kind of worked against it was a sense of possessiveness, who was possessed or not of certain qualities of each other, or overly possessive of each other's actions or concepts.
The card reading indicates a probably yes with caveats. So I feel the caveats here are that he's thinking about you, but maybe not in the sense that you would want him to be thinking about you at this time. The other thing I did was I drew some Lenormand, and I actually drew 3 cards this time.
The camera's open.
Okay, I'll get there. Thank you. One is the whip. The other one or rope. The other one is the child. And the other one is the key. Well, when I look at these cards together, I'm thinking in terms of something happening suddenly and fast, but it's not going to be something big. So I think you're going to get maybe some kind of a message or a sign that he has some thoughts for you, but it may open up an opportunity to grow a relationship. But I do think it's going to be baby steps. The child indicates something small or slower, and it has to grow. And so I feel that it's baby steps in this case. Do you have any observations? He does not do Lenormand,
I
but
don't do Lenormand. I work mostly with them as symbols. And I would mostly agree with what you said about the whip and the key. But I'm actually wondering, is there the concept of a child between you? That maybe one of you have a child that you care for, or that there is some question of a child between you, and that maybe that's a point of whether the question is about them coming back to you. And you've asked another question, so I'm going to try to do that one real quickly as a simpler spread where I'm just going to look for that information there. Is Michael going to open up soon to you? And I'm thinking. I'm getting our old friend again, the Knight of Wands reversed.
that's somewhat interesting to me.
It's an interesting card.
Well,
I'm not
because
sure that it means that they will open up to you soon. I get the feeling that maybe there's a little bit of things there that you might not want to trust exactly at face value. I don't know exactly what the nature of your relationship with Michael is or was, but I get the feeling like maybe Michael could be a person who's come into your life but hasn't been totally honest or hasn't been totally forthcoming about everything. It doesn't mean that they're deceptive. It just means that maybe they haven't felt comfortable enough to share everything with you. And so that's maybe what's going on here, is that maybe Michael has a problem with comfort in talking or opening up to you. Do you think that's what it is? And I want to say quickly hi to David, who
Hi,
just
David.
showed up. And we will be doing a reading for you too, if that's
If
what
you're
you're looking
interested.
for. We're working on one right now. So hang in there, David. Thank you for showing up. But Liberty Bowie, that's what I'm wondering there, is that if Michael is a person who just hasn't really been able to come forward to you, and that you sort of get that sense that there's something there that they want to move towards you, but they're not totally comfortable. Maybe just going out there on a limb, I get the feeling like the confidence level could be because there maybe is something of a difference in ages, not like a big difference in ages, but maybe they're younger than you, and so maybe they don't feel quite as invested in the whole, approachability thing or being approached or, whatever. So I'm not going to blame this on anything that's going on with various, issues about people that are in the news lately,
I drew one Lenormand card on this one, Liberty, and basically it's, I'll try to get it up there a little bit. It's the clouds. And the clouds.
Oh my goodness, I so pegged that. Look at what Liberty Bowie just said.
Oh.
Because I said that there was an age difference possibly.
Okay. Well, the clouds indicate to me that there's
Thank
still
you.
going to be, for the foreseeable future, a bit of confusion surrounding this. Don't get depressed. Don't get hung up on it, because that's sometimes indicated by this card as well, that you could fall into a little bit of depression over this. Don't do that. Things are a little muddled and confused. They are what they are, and it's just going to take some time for that to clear up.
David called us youngsters, and I
No,
thought,
maybe he was talking to people in the chat. You could
Oh,
not
okay.
have been talking to
Oh.
us, David. But thank you,
You
if you
flatterer.
were.
I can't really
Oh.
say for sure.
This is awesome. I have
Thank
to
you.
bring this up at this time. This is funny. I just bought a new tarot deck, and I'm going to be reviewing it soon on Amazon, and I wanted to just share this because this is funny. It is called the Hip Chick Tarot. Now, what is 62-year-old me doing with the Hip Chick Tarot, you might ask? Well, hey, can a 62-year-old woman be a hip chick? I'd like to think so.
For David and everyone else's information, I seem to have come from a family where there are two different genetic trends on each side. On the one side, people don't seem to go gray until older than I am, like late 60s. So that seems to be good. On the other side, whoops, I got to watch
Careful.
it with that microphone there. I'm in a trend where some of the folks there, they have oilier skins when they're a teenager and they don't like that, zits, blackheads, whatever. But then when you're older, your skin is just a little bit smoother. The crow's lines are just not quite as defined. So I am a genetic experiment
Oh my gosh.
of sorts. At any rate, I think that's really fascinating, Liberty Bowie, that I did that for you. And I can't really say how I knew. It just sort of popped in my head because that's the nature of what we do, is that the cards may give us
I'm grabbing
some
your cards.
ideas there, but it really is how it sparks our intuition. And I did feel that for the cards that I pulled, it just came to my head. There was nothing really specifically in those cards that said there was an age difference, but I felt that for some reason, and that's basically why I went with that.
I have my cat sitting in front of where I need to shuffle. So, David, do you have anything? Do you just want a general reading, or do you have a question in mind? And feel free, everybody, to, if you haven't subscribed to our page, new people that are here today, please do so and keep up to date when we're doing our live streams. We're not usually on Sundays at this time of day, but occasionally that's going to happen.
We will probably have time for more questions. So, Smiling Soul, we will let you ask another question. I guess.
And Liberty had a question too.
I guess we should probably just move back to Liberty Bowie real quickly. And I'm sensing that that's a big part of that it's the age gap maybe. But I don't know if that's totally what it is.
We'll have to touch base on this later if we have time and if you're still with us.
Yeah, if you're hanging out later, maybe we'll do more of a reading on that.
I'm going to get to David right now, who wants to know about a Leo female. And David, if I may ask, what sign are you? Hello, fellow Aries. I am an Aries as well.
It's kind of interesting that most of the people that have asked about relationship questions, no matter what kind of relationship that is, that people seem to be attracted to their own elemental signs, air signs with air signs, water signs with water signs, that kind of thing. So that's always interesting. Having said that, David, Aries tends to be the pioneer of the zodiac. They're used to being first in almost everything. But Leo's used to being
in the limelight,
adored.
Yes.
And so that sounds like a definite irresistible object meets immovable force kind of thing there. I'm not saying that those relationships don't work. Leo tends to be a harder sign for females, in my opinion, because usually in Western kind of society, women up until relatively recently, maybe the last 20 years, haven't always felt empowered enough to be as bold as a man, and so now of course we do get that. Yeah, I see what you're saying there, David, and it's true.
Aries is the emperor, he rules over kings and queens.
You do.
Well,
She's the boss. She's the boss. I'm a Scorpio, by the way, David.
yes, we are fire and water, if you can imagine that combo.
Do you want me to cut them? And then you'll...
Well, I have a reading that I'm going to try for you, David. It's a 3-card spread that I came up with. And this one's going to talk about, what attracts the two of you, what kind of pulls you both together. The second card might be a distraction or turnoff between the two of you. And the third one is going to be, is there a connection between us? Does that sound good?
Go ahead and do the... you have a Scorpio
moon.
Ooh. Well, it sounds to me like that's quite interesting, too. Your moon sign generally has a lot to do with your personality. And as a Scorpio, that means that you are highly in tune with a lot more of the more sensuous and possibly sexual areas of your life, as well as your interest in others. Okay, so the first card?
First card is what might attract them.
Go ahead and take that. It's the King of Pentacles
reversed, which is an interesting thing for the attraction element of it. The King of Pentacles reversed, and it's really interesting because that's a very earthy kind of card. Material material pleasures, maybe things in the material world, places to go. You might have a lot of common interests, perhaps.
There may be something about how you both might work with the financial realms. Like maybe one of you works in banking or in investments or something that maybe is a little bit more involved financially than the average
Basically, I
person.
got to be broke to attract her. Well, that's an interesting thought, that money, you don't want money to and possessions to
No,
interfere.
I'm getting the opposite that maybe there's something of an idea here that it's finances that might pull you together. Now maybe it's because you both have less than adequate or less than desired finances, but I do sort of feel it's about something like
Oh,
that. And yeah, as an author, well, we're semi-authors ourselves, so
no.
you're always broke.
I am a wannabe author. I certainly have enough material to write like about 2 books now, but
We have been more prolific with the writing, but right now we're
yeah.
focusing on this project. That's interesting though, because as an Aries, I would say, if that's your dream and you follow it, Aries could probably be really successful with writing.
Well, I would definitely say don't let materialism spoil it because sometimes the King of Pentacles reversed could indicate that.
Well, it could also just indicate too that that's what really maybe pulls you together is maybe you're both not that materialistic. But I'll be
And
honest,
actually, I like that.
I find that hard to believe with both your signs because I've known enough Aries and Leos to know that actually material well-being and comfortable well-being is important, very important to both Leos and Aries.
No, I'm going to be the greatest author in the world, David.
Do I get
Just
to
kidding.
choose? I'll want to read both samples.
Okay, this is the distraction or
Go
what
ahead, show
might
that.
pull them apart. And that's kind of an interesting card there as
Seven of
well.
Swords
The Seven of Swords
reversed.
reversed.
So what could pull you apart is maybe the knowledge that each other have done things that you would want the other not to know about, that there maybe have been some little bit of subterfuge, that maybe there's been some secret positioning or planning between each other, and that if that knowledge came out, maybe that would be an indicator of, oh, not playing fairly or something like that. And that might be not necessarily the end all of the relationship, but it might be a factor that would create some friction there. Good on that. Good on that.
Okay. I think that when I look at the Seven of Swords reversed, I'm thinking in terms of something being returned. So I mean, if I look at where this fell, I kind of thinking in terms of maybe
I like what
having
he
to
just
give.
said.
Pardon me?
I like what he just said.
Oh,
Don't tell her. I won't.
well, I feel as though maybe that things, like what he said. First of all, I do want to talk about something that he said about, things being hidden. Is that how you said it? Maybe that's it too. That's the distraction. Is maybe there's a lot of hidden feelings here that need to be released.
That's a very good point too. I suddenly feel like I should just pull an additional card for that card,
Okay.
and I get the Lover's Reverse, which sort of may indicate that what we'll find is slowing down, and that maybe a certain sense of honesty, but also not being too impatient.
Integrity and
Integrity.
yeah, and the patience factor. I like
There's
that.
a patience factor with this one too.
The seven to me also, like back to the Seven of Swords, indicates this need to maybe give something back to each other in some way. Or maybe somehow there's some feeling of an obligation here. I'm not really sure why I'm getting that. Like somebody feels obliged to the other in some way. And maybe that's interfering with things that, does that make sense at all? Hi, King A. Welcome back.
Welcome back, King
We're
A.
a cute couple. Oh.
Oh, thank you.
We're
We're not
doing well.
bad.
We're doing well. We're in the heart of a reading here with David right now.
Yes, we're a little later tonight. For those who may not know that, normally on Sundays we would be from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But I had a previous engagement. I had to actually work on my real job. Quote
Once a
unquote.
month he works on Sundays, so we are going to have to modify our schedule accordingly. Unless, of course, I run the show myself, which I could do, but where would I be without my buddy?
So David, you're saying you don't feel obliged to her and you don't think she does to me. So you're just kind of looking like maybe where this could go kind of thing? So
Okay.
what is our last card then?
The last card is, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought in all this. Is there a connection between them? Where is it going? Well,
That's interesting. I'm going to give you the camera.
okay, it's the page of Wands reversed. And, there is a connection, I think, between you, but it's not necessarily fulfilling, as fulfilling as you'd want it to be at this time. And it seems as though maybe messages, again, or communications are delayed.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking, I'm just going to go there and say that I actually think this person might just be more of a friend in the long run, that I don't see that possibility of them being much more than that. It may be somebody, too, that maybe you'll just want to kind of keep tabs on, because I sort of feel like there's an energy there, but it's not quite ready to move forward in a way.
No, that's why I'm saying if this is going to happen, it's going to be delayed. And also,
Yeah,
it's
they did all come out
interesting-
reversed.
It's also interesting that you got the Knight of, I'm sorry, the Page of Wands here, because Wands are fire, fire.
Yes, wands are a fire too, which of course is what you've indicated about you and this person. But they're also, in this case, really about messages, and this looks like a delayed message. So I'm thinking it's a slow burn, if anything. If there's going to be a relationship, it might take a while. Do you have a thought there?
I'm going to toss a couple Lenormand and see what I get for you, David. The thing is, I'm concerned about what I'm seeing, and you're right, they are all reversed. I'm just going to throw out there to you that not all reversed cards are bad, but these are indicating a little bit more of a negative bend on the situation. Especially, I feel getting the Lovers reversed was a little bit of a disappointment for me there. But the tarot's only a snapshot in time, and things can change. And also, you hearing this information, maybe you can glean something out of it that, you can use to your advantage to try to move this relationship more in a positive direction. Like, for example, this part about information maybe, not being totally, what do we say here? That information was being hidden. Maybe putting more of your cards out on the table could change things.
Well, to answer that question that you have just asked, I sort of feel that the Leo personality is more of the player kind of personality, not necessarily for women and not always for men, but the Leo has the more player kind of personality, as I understand that. The fifth house, which is Leo's natural house, is the house of gambling and games like that, player games, but it's also about almost anything that can bring enjoyment, and it definitely has an implication towards sensual enjoyment too.
I have another.
Thank you, Smiling Soul.
I have another question for you, David, as I pulled my Lenormand here, and it looks like this might be talking about your lady friend. So, which camera do we have up? Okay, one of the cards is, of course, a woman card, and the other card is the Lilies card, which, of course, can be indicating somebody very pure of heart, but also the Lilies card indicates a sense of maturity. Is this person older than you? And if not, I would say they're maybe more mature than you, possibly. If you don't mind my saying that. King A will get to you as soon as we can.
Okay, so you've answered affirmatively that the Leo lady is possibly, or you believe is older than you.
Okay, so I sense that I'm also getting here that to me, time is a factor again. This person, even if she is a Leo, I'm having a sense she's not going to rush into anything with you.
I like you admitting you're childish. I like to feel that I'm childish myself too. I sort of feel like you're as young as you think, so don't think at all. And of course, remember, you said I look like I was in my 20s. I know you want to take that back just now, but hey.
The live stream? What happened? You got us off.
Oh, it's on there.
Oh, there we are.
I just switched so I could answer.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry, I was confused. We're running our own show today. Our producer,
Our
has
producer
abandoned us. So bear with us with some of our technical difficulties.
It's so horrible.
But speaking of childish, don't forget, I just got the Hip Chick Tarot.
And I'm sure you're just raring to talk about that in a moment. But let's...
No, I'm not. I can't wait to review it, though, with you guys, because I think this is a really fun deck. And I will talk about it at some point.
We'll get back to everybody else if they are still hanging around in a few minutes. But right now I'd like to ask King A to go ahead and ask a question. What kind of reading you like? Do you want a general reading or do you have a specific question? Just go right ahead as soon as you are able to.
And we'll be shuffling here. And thanks for tuning in, David A. We really appreciate it. And feel free to spread this far and wide to your friends.
Come back again if you're not hanging out.
The more of us here, the merrier.
And we'll read it again for you.
We
Good
live
luck
stream
with the Leo
Thursdays
lady.
from 7 to 9 Eastern Standard Time, and usually on Sundays from 2 to 4.
We also do a tarot reading every night for the day ahead, and that's on our Facebook page, TFT Tarot for Today. You can leave a message at the inbox there. You can also leave us a message at TFT Tarot for Today at Gmail. That's not the one with the 4, is it?
Hey, while we're shuffling, do you have that screen with our info on it?
Yes, I'll go ahead and do that.
We'll do that while
and
we shuffle here.
King A has asked the question.
All right.
What does the Sag guy want from me, or what does he thinking about me?
What does he think about you? Okay.
And that was something we talked about the other day, I believe,
Yeah.
right? Or was it somebody different? I don't remember if you said he was Sag, but the want from them. Is this person involved in something like movement related? Like maybe they do some dancing, or maybe they have something that has
Did you
movement?
drop a card again?
I did. I dropped the Page of Swords, so I was immediately thinking of somebody who is a dancer of sorts. Maybe they're a real dancer, but maybe they dance through life. Maybe they dance through different situations.
No, another one.
So this is
Okay.
not the same person you were asking us about before, too.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine. Did you want to cut or shuffle?
I do want to shuffle.
Alrighty, so we're going to let Banshee do a little shuffling there. And
I
we've been
think you
joined
should
by
cut
another
this
cat.
Yeah, we have 2 cats here. I'm watching carefully because
Boy, we're really in trouble if all 3 decide to show up.
there's no room at the inn. The black cat is Shadow. I call her Shadow because she's special. It's really Shadow.
Shadow.
And Sunman is kind of in the picture here by me. Sunny.
They're kind of like our Halloween cats. One is black and
Yep.
one is orange.
And
So
we
maybe
do
we
have
can
a
do
gray
little-
tabby around.
little
but
picture with
she's,
them.
She's
Oh,
flipped
you
back.
danced last night.
Oh, intriguing. It's funny.
Well, and see, I pulled a card that to me, I sometimes think of as a dancer. Sometimes I get the feeling like the card is about a person who has grace and skill.
Boy,
and
you
just
were
moves.
spot on, Mr. O. You should
I've done a
cut-
couple.
You should cut them this time, and you can go from there. So, do you know what you're doing this time with reading?
No, because I thought you were giving me the idea, and you're supposed to put it back. Remember, you were looking.
Oh, let me go around the microphone here. There we are. And so, what is he thinking? What does he want from me? What is he thinking about me? Let me just take a look at one thing as I get off camera briefly. I just want to see this one spread I found, if this will work. Is this a new person in your life?
Right,
Miss Sag?
just known him for a few days.
Okay, then I'm going to do this spread for you. It's a 3-card spread. Your feelings for the new person in your life, their feelings for you, and is it love or is it just a passing thing?
The first card is the Eight of Pentacles. Upright. Your feelings for this person sounds to me like it's something you feel you have to work on. That's what the card is about, working towards a goal, working towards mastery. So it sounds to me like this person intrigues you and you definitely would like to dance more with them, if nothing else. But you know also, too, that you have to work on a certain thing or two. It might just be the kind of aura you project. I don't know that I would go and say this is physical skills per se.
I would say that just looking at this being the Eight of Pentacles, which is kind of a work-oriented card
It is.
and material card in a relationship question, it's saying to me that you feel like this person is somebody worth working for, building a
Okay.
relationship with possibly. You're definitely interested, and I would say it is a work in progress.
Now, the next card is how this person may feel about you, right?
Yes.
Oh. Well, I think this almost would seem to indicate that the Sag guy thinks you rock his world. Or
you
thinks
feel
the
that,
world of you.
Yeah, do you kind of get the feeling that things kind of clicked for you?
Was there
possibly?
a click? The world card often represents a sense of perfection that is sublime, that just really just is a cap to the day, a cap to the week, a cap to your life. So I'm thinking this feels like this person really was taken with you on some degree. This person really seems to like you.
Yeah. This is a very good omen, that card in that position. I think that if you're wanting them to be attracted to you, it's very possible they are.
So are you saying that the person knows about tarot cards? That's interesting. Now, what is the final card?
The final card, is this just a passing thing, or is it, could it be love, or, a firmer thing? And it's interesting that that card came up.
It's the Nine of Wands reversed.
Because I have to ask if, it's possible that both of you are not ready for anything really, serious at this
I
time.
honestly don't remember if you told me about your recent past, like if you're out of a relationship and how that might have ended. So I'm just going to say I get a sense that maybe both of you are out of relationships and maybe just a little bit wanting to take it easy and sort of feel your way into it. This thing that may have happened, though, may have both set you to thinking, like, well, I was really thinking I just wanted to kind of take it slow, but now I'm feeling
Just
something
ended
here.
a relationship.
You may have told me that before. I don't
That's
remember.
why I'm saying this looks so good and has potential for you, King A, that I would say take it slow and let it develop, in its own time, because don't rush into it, because I think both of you aren't prepared for that yet.
Right, but I do get the feeling like if you do that, what we're indicating that you will both find yourselves at some sort of vantage point where you will feel you can equally approach each other without any baggage kind of stuff going on there, that you clearly are both over any broken relationships or situations that might be baggage. So was that your first date? I guess?
They just knew him for a few days.
Ah.
Yeah. So.
I just think that
That's why I'm
there's
saying
a potential here.
slow is good, but signs are very positive.
The signs are very positive.
So with that in mind,
You're gonna pull a letter, huh?
you can pardon me?
You're going to pull a letter?
I will. You can kind of just relax and take it as it comes.
I think he definitely likes you. I think that he thinks the world of you on some level, or that there's something very compelling about you. In the olden days, Jimi Hendrix, I just want to stand next to your fire. Maybe this person feels like that, like they like being next to you because you radiate something to them.
Well, this is interesting because I have a female influence here in my Lenormand, which I don't know if that's indicative of you. There it is. There's the woman, and she is looking at this. And it's really ironic that I drew these cards. This is like the scythe 6th. And you know, it reaps the corn, it cuts things, and you just said you just recently ended a relationship. So I'm thinking that this is a very interesting pull here, and it's also telling me, you know, it takes time to make sure your emotions and your head is in the right place as you move forward. So keep that in mind as well as you try to develop something else. We don't want to end up in a situation where, you know, we're rushing headlong into something that we should have maybe taken our time to make sure that we were ready for what we face.
Thank you for the very kind words. I really appreciate that. We like everybody that comes to our page here, our stream, and talks to us. We seem to think that everybody's really wonderful and nice to us, and we appreciate hearing that. Always feel free to come back to ask us more questions or just to tell us what's going on.
And we're here to help. You know, we're not counselors, we're not advisors, we're intuitive, we're not necessarily your drop dead psychics, but we've read these cards for so long and we get impressions off the cards, and we hope we're able to help some people out.
Check out Smiling Soul's question.
Oh, what do you got, Smiling
Bless you
Soul?
too, King A.
Is the roach here to cause more problems for me? Is going to be okay?
Now, you've indicated before that the roach is your landlord or something like that. Ah, okay. My grandmother used to say that teeth in a dream. My grandmother was a semi-old world Lithuanian. I think her mom came from Lithuania, so she was born here, but she had some old ways.
Hey, Smiling Soul, I have a 3-card reading I can do for you really quick here that is about your dream. Do you want to do that? There's a reading here where we could do a card for the dream significance, if there is a warning or message for you, and what will manifest. How does that sound?
The only thing I do know about dreams of teeth was my grandmother used to tell me that if you dream about teeth falling out or coming in, like a new tooth coming in, that was a sign of either a marriage or a baby being born.
Really?
So that was what my grandmother said, Grandma Yaruski.
I remember having a few dreams about teeth myself, and I looked through some of my aunts had a lot of dream books from, the 40s and 50s. And I looked in their books, and teeth meant a little bit of like nagging worries if you were losing teeth and they were falling out.
So you're kind of telling us where the concerns are going there. But I want to, and we will get to that. I'm also thinking, too, that were the olives being offered to you by the cockroach? Because that would indicate that maybe your dreams feel that he would be trying to be more amenable. But the dream about your teeth bothers me if they were in any way not really what you expect your teeth to be. Like if they were loose, were they falling out, were they hurting you? Those would be bad things. I think teeth in dreams really talks about the self, because if you think about it, most of the pain or things that happen in our head, teeth or a knock to the head, those things tend to hurt more because we're closer to the center of our nerves, our brain. And so certain pains in the head always hurt more. And I think a dream reflects that a little bit too, that thing is a symbol for the personal. Banshee's telling me, cut the cards.
Well, or shuffle. You did, though.
I did first.
Slide that under. Okay.
You were eating them, but did you get them from him or they were just there? If they were just there, I'm not exactly sure. I'll have to ponder that a little bit. First bad dream. Ooh.
Okay.
I don't like bad dreams.
I pulled the 3 cards already, so I'm looking at them. And the first one is the dream significance. And interestingly enough, I'm trying to get it above Sunny's head here. It is the Knight of Pentacles reversed. So this is the coming or going of a matter connected with money or resources or property.
I don't like the fact that the teeth were bleeding and loose. That's not a good dream. It could. Now, I don't always think dreams are predictive. Sometimes I do feel that they're just more about, how you feel. So it could just be insecurity in general.
So the dream significance, again, to me, has to do with somebody who maybe it's a matter connected with money, property, finances, and it's reversed. And so it's somebody with maybe the cockroach does have some ill intent here as far as your living conditions go.
This is usually a card of a person who's not necessarily an evil person, but they're just not a person on your side
No,
usually.
right.
They tend to be somebody that does things way too slowly or way too disinterestedly. They tend to be boring and droll. They're not lively at all. They're usually somebody that maybe is dragging something behind them, and that something behind them that they're dragging is probably not good for you. It's maybe a sense of obligations or duties.
The warning or message is the Ten of Swords reversed, my dear. And the Ten of Swords reversed is, like I've said, and I said in the beginning of this program, if we have to get the Ten of Swords, we want to see it reversed because it shows that maybe whatever this person's intent was, or the message from the dream, the warning, is that there will be some recovery or it won't be as bad as you think. Maybe you're overly worried because it seems as though there might be something, but it won't be as bad as you think.
Well, yeah,
I
to
hope
me,
it's not a rent increase.
yeah, to me, it sounds like you're going to hold your own to some degree, and probably it's because you really have an awareness of how bad they can be, and so you can kind of think around them. I'm thinking that because the swords do represent the quality of air and intellect, that your key in overcoming these forces is really being smarter than them, which
Yeah, that's a
probably
good
is not
point.
going to be that hard because I think that their energies are represented by the first card, the reverse Knight of Pentacles, and that besides just being a person with a droll personality, there's also a drollness to the way their mind works too. I think like they're just sort of too matter of fact, and they can't think out of the box because they're very single focused, mostly on being a landlord or getting rid of people.
And what manifests in the end from this dream? This is very positive. It is the
Yes, it
star,
is.
upright, awesome. And so I would say that, there is hope. Do not give up hope and don't overly fret over this. You will overcome this, whatever
Now,
it is,
I
or
get
you
the
can deal with whatever it
I get
is.
the feeling that one of your concerns, of course, is that you don't want to have to move. You, for whatever reasons, you do like where you live at. It's just this is a nasty person to have to deal with, and I do feel that the star could indicate that maybe if you do have to do something legally, you are the one who's going to end up on top.
It could mean that hope and help is on the way.
Yeah. So it could mean, and I don't know if this person is a permanent landlord, if it's somebody who could be replaced possibly. Um, and I don't know how you feel about it, but maybe, just try to accentuate that. Uh, I don't have lots of uh, things that I can suggest other than things that are more affirmative. And I'm thinking, find a color flower that is pleasing to you and buy that and see if you can take care of it. And every day when you water it or take care of it, try to see that growth in that flower as growing towards the solution of a better situation with that landlord. I just sort of feel that that's just kind of coming to me.
Oh my
Uh,
goodness.
what'd you do?
I pulled a couple Lenormand cards, and they're rather interesting because look what I pulled: the house card
Okay.
and the fox card, smiling soul. This does mean that you're going to have to be. There's two ways I could look at this. And one is somebody is being very sneaky and underhanded with you, the cockroach. And or this is you having to be very crafty
Being
in
more
how you
clever than them.
deal with them about the matters connected with your home or property.
Yes, that's what I feel too, is that the fox represents you being more clever in the situation and figuring him out. And I feel that way because I also pulled the star earlier. We pulled the star earlier, and that seemed to indicate to me that you are coming out on top. I sort of see this whole thing still taking 2 months or so to resolve. Like I'm thinking like maybe towards the end of the year ish, You may actually feel that there's been some movement here that's favorable. I sort of feel that. The house itself, because I don't read Lenormand specifically, I do feel that this just suggests comfort and happiness there.
Well, I sense that's the home property. So it's just interesting how I managed to pull this house card, for this particular reading.
Oh, there you
Well,
go.
that's good. Well, good for you.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck with it. And hopefully.
Maybe we can visit.
Hopefully, we are not forced to, you aren't forced to move too soon. I don't see that here, but I do see that there's some underhanded little things going on for sure. You are right to be concerned. Definitely.
Well, you always have a lot for a smiling soul, and it's usually pretty fascinating. So we appreciate you dropping in again and asking questions. We hope we were able to help you.
So is there anybody else, too, that has any
If there's
quick
anybody else
questions
in
that we
the
can...
if there's anybody else in the chat room you're welcome, who would like a reading,
Or a
now may be the
follow-up.
time.
Otherwise,
Otherwise, we'll just.
I will say that I did bring down some love cards to show people, but there isn't a lot of time for that today. So what I might do is do a video that we'll post on YouTube that will show some of these tools and how they could be used. And just to remind people, there are some really great decks out there for relationship questions if you want to do some things on your own as far as relationships go. The one thing I did want to get into today, if I can find it easily enough, and let me tell you, there's some crazy stuff.
You're very welcome. Thank you for your nice words.
Oh, thank you. Let me tell you, there is some crazy stuff in my collection. That's all I can say. I did not realize I had the erotic kind of cards that I had.
Oh.
Yeah, they're not just lovers cards.
Are you sure they're not mine?
There's actually some that deal with more. Well, for example, there's this one thing called the erotic tarot that I came across. I remember
this deck.
I remember not being that happy
Okay, everyone,
with this deck.
tell your children to leave the room.
To close their eyes. No, I remember not being that enamored with this deck because I felt it was too male opinion focused art, on the erotic as opposed to
Sure.
being fair here. And
Fair is another
let's
planet.
say giving the women something to oogle and about. The other thing is I had this other one that I think is far more interesting, and yes, it's a sexy one too. It's called the Tarot Sutra.
one.
Oh, I'm sorry. It is called, I don't know, Sunny's in the way.
Okay, let's put it on the biggie.
You have to
There.
put it on the big screen. The Tarot Sutra, which is really a pretty standard tarot deck that we have,
Oh
but
my.
but the interpretations are very, how shall I say, sensual, sexual, giving you advice on different things that you could do or try with your partner, and things of that nature. And also talks about, there's cards that you can pick that represent yourself, and there's a way to do it in here that talks about how you approach sex and sensuality. And I find it to be very fascinating. So, there's things that are about relationships. There's actually things about, sex itself. And I have quite a diverse collection. I never realized I had all of these things. So stay tuned, and I will have a video where I will show more of this because we get so many questions. I think some might be fascinated to see some of this collection that I have.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thanks again, Smiling Soul. And for everybody today, really, we've got a few minutes left. Do we want to draw our tarot for tomorrow?
Yes, let's do that.
We're
But
going to
let's
draw
put-
our card that we will write up on our Facebook page later. That is our reading for tomorrow for everyone. And let's see what we get. It's a Monday.
Sunny has set a new record for lying in state. We're going to zoom in on him for one last
Well, I
time.
don't know that
here.
you can really zoom in on him. Okay, there he is. The
There's
body.
an orange mass here, defined by my hand touching it, and he did not move at all. So We don't know what that is.
He is a very calm kitty. He really is. He's an angel. But all of our cats, they're so unique. We have 3, and they're siblings, but they're completely different. Personality and in appearance.
So this is our reading for tomorrow, for Monday,
All right.
September 9th.
9th. Tomorrow's the 9th. And we're getting
9-9.
Ooh.
Oh.
I like the number 9. The number 9 is my number. We're getting closer to fall equinox as well, and I may have some tricks up my sleeve as we get close to the equinox. I don't know about the rest of you, but I tend to like the equinoxes more than the solstices. I don't know, there's a different energy there, and I find the energy to be more balancing, and I really appreciate that. When you've got the solstices, it's either, well, the dark is leaving and we're going more toward the light half of the year, which is kind of happy. And you like to think summer solstice is happy, but you realize after summer solstice, the days are starting to get shorter and it's going to get cold, at least for us in Michigan here. And there's kind of a gloomierness about that to me. But there's this nice harmony and balance about the equinoxes that I can really relate to. So I might have a trick or two up my sleeve, maybe a special spread for the fall equinox. So stay tuned when in a week or two when that occurs.
And our card.
Our card for tomorrow is dun dun dun.
The Magician.
The Magician upright.
It's nearly a perfect card for a Monday.
Well, we hope so. It's a good way to start the week anyway.
Yes. It kind of sounds like everything is really in a very discernible state for control, for enacting one's will, for going forth and accomplishing a lot of projects, unleashing your creativity or in your willpower to focus on what you need to do.
Focus, focus, focus. And also, it's basically getting all of your ducks in a row. It's kind of like it's Monday. Okay, what do I want to accomplish today? What do I want to accomplish the rest of the week? How do I put it all together? Do I have everything I need to get my work done? It's the time to think and plan out your week ahead and make the most of the week by doing so. I think it is a great way to start off the week.
Very cool.
That's all I can say. Do you have anything to add to that?
Well, I was the one that started, so I'm not really sure that I have much more to add to that. But I do feel like some of us will feel we are very self-directed, and I think that's another thing about the card that I don't say enough, that this is a card of somebody who is an individual, can get a lot done and can work very well on their own. That even if you're a member of a team in your workplace or your other situations in life, your true abilities and stuff are kind of there as an individual.
I don't know what happened there, Smiling Soul, but a lot of your messages got retracted.
I think that they're able to retract them themselves.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, at any rate,
and we have one more watching us too.
Pardon me?
There's one more person watching us now.
Oh, really? Well, what I wanted to also say about the Magician card is that maybe Monday, if you have some idea in mind that you want to share with your coworkers or your boss or get approval to move on a project or something, Monday might be a good day to exert your will to make it happen. Because isn't the Magician also about the using the will?
Mm-hmm. And I'm yawning a little bit, so it must indeed have been that this has been a long, busy day.
Well, you worked today.
I did. And it was our first Sunday of the fall season. We're not normally open on Sundays during the summer, so this was the first. And it was probably busier than what I expected it to be. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad that I'm back here now, though.
And it's over.
And it's over, and that our live stream is almost over. We will be with you again this next Thursday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., and that's Eastern Standard Time. I might have wanted to have tried a meditation today. We're up to the Lover's card, but it didn't seem like it was going to work out. We had actually decided before we started that our agenda was pretty full, and we're so tickle pink.
And it's ironic because we talked about love and relationships most of today. So you know what? Maybe that would be a good thing to start our day with on Thursday.
Yeah,
is to
so
just
we'll probably
do a
start
quick
right off with the meditation on the lover's
card.
I'll be raring to go. And I think that, like I said, it was something about being tickled pink. I can't remember. You interrupted me.
Oh, I am so sorry. I am so sorry, Mr.
Okay.
O. Well, at
It's
any
okay.
rate, this was a really cool weekend for me. I ended up going to Celestial Cornerstone, right? I got that right. And I don't know if you can see it from here, but I got this wonderful little moon pendant from them. It's an awesome little store in the city Wyandotte, which is near where we live. And we had a great time.
Out there in our broadcast range, if you happen to be a visitor to the Metro Detroit area, specifically Wyandotte, which is in the Downriver community, we would advise you checking out Sue from Celestial Corner. She is definitely a gifted psychic, and we could not recommend her more. She has a wonderful little shop that's been open for a few months now. And it's
it was
right
really
downtown,
funny because
Biddle Avenue.
when we were there visiting her, somebody walked in that was visiting from California and was so enamored with Wyandotte. Wyandotte's a cool little artsy community downriver of Detroit, and it's just very quaint. It's nestled on the Detroit River, which is really nice too. The waterfront there is really beautiful.
As I recall, she said that she had, her and her husband had flown to Chicago to take part in a Great Lakes cruise, a cruise that was just going up and down the Great Lakes.
Which
and
is
so
awesome.
This was one of their Detroit area stops, because you can actually stop and deboard and reboard in Wyandotte. They have docks for that.
You know, I know some of the people watching the live stream are from Florida, and as I was telling the woman from California that, well, we don't have an ocean, but you know, our Great Lakes are our ocean here.
They are
beautiful, they're gorgeous, and they're definitely probably worth a boat tour, I'm sure, because we have seen them all.
Yeah, we've actually seen all of the Great Lakes,
Yep.
and they're pretty fantastic. And I've barely seen the ocean the one time I was in California.
Well, and Lake Superior is the hardest one for us because that's the furthest away from us here. You know, should I hold up the hand? Of course, we're down in Detroit, which is kind of down here-ish, and we're downriver of Detroit, which means we're closer to the Ohio border. And
It's kind of like, which one is
what
it, though?
other state can you use your hand to show your location?
Well,
I asked.
with Michigan, because there's two peninsulas, you can actually
That's
use
right. You
both
could.
of them.
It's right. It's that way.
Somehow.
Right.
I don't remember how that works, but that's bizarre, sort of.
But so Lake Superior is the furthest, but we've had a couple times to see it, and that I think is one of the most dramatic. I love Lake Michigan the best, but Lake Superior is one of the most dramatic lakes of the Great Lakes.
Say what you will about Michigan, but Michigan is actually its own little biosphere. It's surrounded by some of the largest bodies of fresh water in the entire world. And so we have that here. We also have a relatively stable environment, things being as they are, because of this influence around us. So it could be that as the climate changes and gets worse, we wish that wouldn't happen, but more people may end up coming to Michigan because we're going to have the water. We're going to have more climbable temperatures that other parts of the country may really get hot and overly hot, and we may stay a little bit better than that.
We never know what will happen for sure.
No,
only the
knows.
tarot knows.
Pretty much. And
maybe on Thursday we'll dabble with the question deck a little bit again. We'll bring out the old question deck, and we have more viewers now. It's possible that people will want to interact with us. I noticed that David today, who joined us, if he comes back, he seemed to have some knowledge of the cards and tarot, so he might like interacting with our question deck.
that's the ultimate goal, to have some lively discussion when we're not doing readings for people, where people can ask us questions or people can give us their opinions about some of the things we read for. It's always possible that somebody will say, hey, you should have told Smiling Soul that card could also mean da-da-da-da-da, that kind of thing. So you just never know, really.
Absolutely.
And
we're all
we like
in
to
this
think
together.
that we can always learn more ourselves, too. So there you go.
So anyway, it's now 8:59, and we want to thank everybody once again for joining us, and hope you will join us on Thursday for our next broadcast, and join us on our Facebook and Twitter. We'd love to hear from you, love to chat with you. We also have email, so if there are some issues you want to talk to us privately about, and set up some time to talk to us, please feel free to do so. That email address is, of course, TFT Tarot for Today at gmail.com.
Very good. And I guess with that, we're ready to sign off for the evening. Once again, we want to thank everybody that's been here. Malapeo, Cardi,
Oh my gosh, we're going to remember
Claudie,
everybody.
rather. I'm
King
sorry.
A.
King A.
Claudie
David, Smiling Soul, of course. And hopefully anyone else we did mention, you are special.
If you
and
were
we do
here and you did
appreciate
not
that very much.
contribute to the chat, hopefully you'll feel more encouraged to do so next time. All right. Bye-bye.